John Howard asked.
Good morning, everybody. So we'll call to order the Tuesday, April 9th. Old Orchard Special Business District Advisory Commission, that's a mouthful, to order. So I'm asking for approval of the minutes. So I need a motion, please.
I can make a motion.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, John. And we don't have any visitors. Correct? Okay. So we'll move on to old business and in reference to rooftop lighting.
Rooftop lighting, Frank Henning. So a couple things as part of I mentioned the transition last month, 2 months ago, I think, about the DCM role is taking over my role when that person's on board. Frank Henning at Public Works is in charge now of booking the rooftop lighting. So Frank is our street superintendent. Holland, he comes and fixes the street lights when you have issues and such like that in the parking lot. So we have tasked him with those work orders to get the Blue Dahlia building done. So he's in contact with Stride. John, if you need us to come out, you just let me know and I'll connect you with Frank and such in that regard and to repair your lights. And then also the Hagen buildings are being bid for estimate on those quotes.
Does he have sorry.
And Holland, he has yours, yes. Go Holland, fix Holland's lights are number one on the Old Orchard list. So.
Hate to be that person, but thank you. Sorry.
Ours got fixed, but I think they just still go on and off sometimes with the GFI.
Okay.
Right now, I think they're off, so I have to go up there and flip the switch every now and then. A little bit of a pain, but I think they're good. We put new lights up last year.
All right.
Is a question if we were to put or asked to have them put on the fourth side of our building, even if we have to pay for it, is that a problem?
It's not a problem from the city. I think it's really a conversation. You have one of those buildings that has all four sides relatively visible from all ways. So I think it's really a question for your fellow members about should the public pick up that cost? And I'm fine with that. Or do you want to,
We're okay with if we need to do it. It's just, and that is completely fine.
I think the only thing we would look at, since it's a different change from other businesses, is look for the recommendation from your fellow members here. If we are going to pay for it, I have no problem using our contract to complete it either way. So.
Anybody have thoughts?
No, I know Frisco has got two sides. So some buildings have two sides, right? So you guys have four?
We have we currently have lights on 3 of ours
on the east, south, and north, right?
Yeah, so the fourth side, so it does look kind of funny, and we would like to put them on there and happy to foot the bill, but it just is a matter of to get it all consistent. It looks kind of weird at night.
We've just got the 2,
Okay.
which is fine.
So, well, I'm happy to have them.
Okay.
I'm happy to not spend our money since not everybody has 4 sides, but we would like to be considered to get them taken care of.
Not a problem. I'll have Frank add that to the bid list and then just with the note that, connecting with you about the payment directly.
Yeah, that'll work. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay. So if we're done with rooftop, our new business, the recycling container.
So John brought this up, and we obviously have a recycling container on the north side of Big Bend that the city provides behind essentially Weber's, Balkan, Emos, that whole block. There is not one on the south side. I think there was one at one point and it was taken out. I'm looking at Fran to make sure I said that right.
I'm not sure. I don't
Not
remember.
sure. Been a while. John may know. But I just wanted to, John got some numbers from Republic. I don't disagree with those numbers. Their base rate has been about, I think it was $270, John, for a pickup twice a week. Same thing as the north side. We certainly can see a need from the city. I just wanted to point out, and I'm just going to share quickly, one of the things we're seeing with recycling, I'm sorry, I'm going to share my screen here if I can get it up for you all, is this is one of the most current bills here, and I know it's very tough to see, so I'm going to try to zoom in, but we're seeing this recycling charge. Oops, I think I just zoomed you right out of it so you can't see it. If you see right, you got a $414 bill the other day. If I get up there, because you're picking up a recycling charge of about $78, almost $80 every so often, and it's coming up about once once every quarter, and we don't know why it's coming up. So I'm just letting you know that I've checked with my colleagues in other cities that they're seeing the same thing from Meridian, from Waste Management. So this charge comes up and we assume, and we're getting from the company that it's likely going to be about, certain recyclings aren't very desirable right now. So they're essentially charging us to take the product on top of the tipping fee that Republic is getting. But I just wanted you to be aware that the costs are going to be more than their base charge than they quoted. So you have the budget for it, you have the money for it. From a sustainability practice, the city can see the purpose of it. We know that there's a heavy use on the south side of Big Bend with those businesses. So I just wanted to bring it up. And John, if there's anything you want to add to that notion of request.
So a couple things there. One, he told me, let's see that. Let me see what it is, the final number that he came up to. I forget the exact number. I have the documents right here and I don't want to waste your guys' time. I think it was for 2 times a week. His total estimated amount was $231.60 a month. And I told him that because I was presenting it to others, because I do the dumpsters for everybody on that side of the street, that I had to have an exact amount. Republic will increase and decrease as they want to. It's a bill that I have had to watch. They're just, I don't know if they're crooked or if I do have a friend who's a lawyer who's actually suing them in a civil case for class action kind of stuff. So that doesn't make me think too highly of them either. But he said it would be $231.60. When it fluctuates, it does require calling them because I managed it for the whole South, all the dumpsters. There's 3 dumpsters currently. I said, what's the new recycling going to be? He said $231.60. I would think it would be that, stick to that. Those things do go up and down. They have fuel charges and whatnot. So that's one thing. I inherited the dumpster. There's a dumpster building over there. I inherited it from Jason from the Grove Deli. As soon as I purchased a building over there, looked like he was dying to hand that off to somebody, and somehow I got suckered into it. So I manage that. I get all I try to come up with something that's a fair percentage, so people have, and no one really complains. But right now we have 3 dumpsters. Obviously the biggest user of that is Frisco, then probably Annex, Chiang Mai, Civil Alchemy, David's Guitar, gets in guitar shipments and has huge boxes from time to time, and he'd like to be recycling his boxes, and Civil Alchemy gets tons of shipments of boxes. And at one point there was recycling. They ran out of space to do recycling, and at a point there was a recycling thing where about a year, or I believe across the country, we weren't recycling. We were storing it and shipping it to China. And Republic told me they doubled the recycling costs, and he said, if you want to keep doing recycling, you're really just paying for us to store it and set it on land. So we canceled the recycling at that point. But I'd come back to them. I said, hey, are you actually recycling this product anymore? And he said, yes, it's back to being recycled. So that's all of my knowledge.
We've had multiple issues. We had to ask for a second container because we get so many boxes. And we probably were quoted 3 different things. And then what they then did quote us, it ended up being double. And then we had to kind of go back and go through emails. And it has been an exhaustive amount of time. And then they wouldn't pick up because their new thing is if you have anything that's above the black tops being able to be closed. So even if they're open like 6 inches, they won't pick up. So now it all has to fit and it has to be completely closed, which is also new of the last month or 2.
Is that Republic?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a fan.
Commercially, are you requiring all the crap that residential does, to where everything has to be? I realize you're talking about a lot of boxes, but John, do you do the the bottles and all those kind of things and cans and such from the restaurants too?
So we did up until they pulled them 2 years ago. It's been almost 2 or 3 years. And so there's no recycling over there now. They told us it's not getting recycled. And you can pay us to take it and store it, but it's not getting recycled. We're like, well, we're not going to do that. So
You have to take
Um,
labels off jars and labels off cans and all those kind of things to be able to be compliant with it commercially, because residentially, we're supposed to.
I don't know the gist of what has to be done to actually recycle. I think the number one thing would be, Frisco Annex doesn't have much. I think the big thing would be for cardboard for everyone. And, I think, the north side of the street has the dumpster over there, and we have Field Theory over there. And I know Bob used it too. It sits right there. I don't know that anybody else over there uses it because it sits high up at the street there, right between Brackenelli's and Weber's. So I'm not sure how much that one's used. But it is nice to use, and I know that especially my employees would like to be recycling, and I think the other people whose stuff I manage have asked about it. And so I'm really out of asking for them as much as trying to be responsible, wondering how to do that. One of the biggest things would be where to put it. We'd probably have to take up a parking spot to do it.
That's what I was gonna ask, if that was gonna
That's the
come.
biggest thing. And then the next thing is the cost. If they hold to their $230 a year, that's $3,000, $3 to $4,000 a year.
I haven't seen a bill yet that stays at $230 a year. So just so you know, I mean, I'm seeing the bills fluctuate between $270 and somewhere between $380 a month. And then, so John, I completely agree with you, because managing it is a miserable, we're managing 3 different ones and we get one fixed in Old Orchard. What's this charge? We don't need that charge, I mean, we didn't fill the dumpster type of thing. And then we have to do the same rigmarole just to get Old Webster fixed, It's never handled as one contract. It's always miserable.
So I guess there's two things there. One is this could be costing anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. It is. I asked you and Fran about it because the north side has one, and is that something that I don't know how that came to be, and the south didn't have one. And so I figured I'd ask there versus taking that cost and putting it on all the tenants over there. I have a self-interest. I'm probably the biggest tenant over there, right? With 3 or 4 of the main business users of it, but David's, Chiang Mai, and others do use it.
We might.
And the second,
space.
The
We get
second-
plenty of boxes.
and maybe that's an answer. Maybe there's a spot in the back of Commerce Bank. I don't know. It's but because that's the second thing, is where would we even put this? And I don't know. I don't have an answer today. Maybe it's something for us to think about and us to look at as you drive by. And we've been going 2 years without it. I hear grief from employees like, can we start recycling? Like, well, there's some challenges there, and I just have to look at those challenges and see. It's one, where do we put it? 2, do I split it across all the businesses from Chang, Webster, Wok? I don't even know where they have their own dumpster over there, but anywhere from Chiang Mai to Frisco, everybody else splits those dumpsters over there, and there's not space for a 4th dumpster. And with more businesses, you add another business over there in the next year, and we're going to be close to full on dumpster space. So we might have to consider a parking spot going to a dumpster or something over there. That gets out beyond I don't own the parking lot or the dumpster area. So that becomes either city or an Old Orchard Business District decision. Why don't you guys all think about it? I don't think we need to rush into anything today.
if I can add to your thinking, let me just, I hate to posit bigger thoughts for the entire city to grapple with, but. You know, between, I would say roughly between all three districts, for generally cardboard recycling, we spend probably $13,000 to $14,000 a year for Republic to come pick up three different dumpsters, you know, dump them with cardboard twice a month. There's a question about whether or not it's more convenient for the city to buy a cardboard baler and do cardboard pickup from certain spots, or have you drop off and do our own recycling that way. I'm not saying the city wants to do that. I'm not, this is Eric having some ideas, but you may want to consider whether or not you bring that up to the city, you know, make that like an idea to think about. Especially as we look at green dining and other issues, you know, I mean, is there more collection that we should do in that regard out of our sustainability practices? So many cities do cardboard balers for that reason, to make it easier on business. You drop off, or we pick up from certain spots, you know, bale the cardboard and then, you know, have it picked up from a central location one time. So I don't know what those cost differences are. I haven't costed, just thinking out loud.
So you're saying the city itself, not the business district, might pick that up.
Well, so I want to be careful with the language there, because the business district is the city under state statutes. So there is really no distinction between the two. You're not a SID in that regard. You're not a separate political subdivision. So it's the city's money either way. I think the difference being is, you know, if the city had, I don't know what kind of dumpster, a city dumpster, let's put it that way, and we go pick it up in some way, cardboard, or you drop off at one place, but we bale the cardboard and provide a baled cardboard product to recyclers. If you go to the service center right now, we have a whole recycling bin sitting out there, glass, tin, you can come and recycle that, you know, a residents can without having to go through waste management. So I think there's some possibilities that in that regard. That's obviously an obligation of the city. I can't say we're going to do it, but it's something to look at, I think, especially if we're hearing from a district, hey, we're seeing an exorbitant amount of money just to pick up cardboard. Is there a better way to do cardboard collection and recycling across the whole of the city?
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for taking the time for that one.
Okay. Anything
we-
else on, any other comments on recycling?
I think I would look at it, and obviously, if you're thinking about the south side, I'm not trying to get in the middle of equity arguments, but I think Holland and the east end has a pretty strong argument about whether or not the funds they pay into the district should be used for recycling. Not saying you're asking for that, Holland, but just think about that. You have a big district that's wide and, you know, lots of geographic separation from some of the businesses, so.
Agreed. There's a whole bunch of new businesses popping in down there now, between Glow Candle and Bijou and everybody over there.
I think you have a new auction house right by you, Holland, right? I can only imagine what kind of packaging is gonna come in and out of there on that one, so.
Well, and we pay for, I mean, our landlord, we actually, because he's worthless. And so we've been taking it upon ourselves to deal directly with them. And so it's for the building,
Yeah.
even though, you know, there's a couple other businesses up there, but we've now started running into that everybody's starting to use them as their own.
Yeah.
All good.
All right, annual report.
Annual report, I shared, everyone has a link to the annual report document. I'm not gonna pull it up online because I think you can all see it there. It's really a basic document. It's got your list of names on it. I had Fran go through it. She had a great suggestion. We've actually added your businesses behind your name now, so sort of help identify where you're from and such. The annual report is due May 2nd. Angel, so this is really on May 15th. You've gotten this email about presenting you or another member of the commission to the council at a special meeting. I will package your budget request and anything else that you're asking for in there, but we really need to look at who's gonna write or put in sort of things you worked on last year, this past year, sort of a report of that, and then also what your plan is for the year forward. I think it's pretty clear to me. I think your big success was a much stronger holiday gazebo lighting ceremony and, really providing that along with the continued things you do with lighting and such like that. I think for the year forward, it sounds like, we have a lot of good things to continuing to do the same. And I think there's also a challenge goal, I would say is that, where's the the trade association version of you all, you know, how's that formulated and prepared and ready to go? Because that's who runs gazebo series and things like that. And is it with Bob leaving, who's in charge of that and those types of things? And that's not necessarily the business district's job, but in the absence of a strong leader there, how are you all, since you subsidize that work, you know, looking forward into who's taking that on? So not to say Fran's leaving, she's not, she's gonna be your person for that and continuing on. But I guess my point is that I think that's a challenge goal from my perspective, looking to you all. All that to say, someone's got to jot some notes down in that report. I certainly can fill it in for you and send it back to you all, but I think I didn't want to get in front of you as the commission and say, here's your report. Do you like it or not? So tell me how you want to proceed, who you want to draft that thing out, and where we should go from there.
Well, this is all new to me, so I mean, from the standpoint of, I mean, I don't care if you need me to help, or I'll need your help, or whoever to protect, whatever. I'm game to help do
I
whatever.
expected to fill it out and draft it. I just didn't want to do it until you all said that I should. Some commissions want to do it themselves, so.
No, feel
very-
free on my
Okay.
side. And then, but I mean, anybody have a disagree? Yeah, and then, no,
Okay.
please. Yeah,
We'll get it drafted. We'll send it out to you all to take a peek, and then Angel, obviously, will figure out who the schedule is for the 15th. You or someone else needs to be present, so. We'll have
Okay.
another meeting before then, but it'll be submitted before our next meeting, so that's why I wanted to make sure to bring it up this time, so.
okay.
The presentation of the council will be very simple, so we're no PowerPoints this time or anything like that, so it's very easy.
Okay. Alrighty. BDC update?
I don't, well, Stephanie's not on this group, so I want to say that our BDC group is moving fast and furiously forward on the community improvement district concept that they've been exploring. I think they've had a subcommittee put together. They met once, Fran, and once. So that subcommittee has got members from all across the different parts of the city, the 3 districts, and other areas.
There was actually quite a few from Old Orchard,
Good. Good.
Betty's
Great.
Books and Fire and
That's it.
Bassett, thank you.
Not Fawcett, so. I called it that many times, unfortunately. But the CID, for anyone who doesn't know, is the newer version of a business district, but it's a separate subdivision from the city. So it can do sales tax. If you think of the Grove in St. Louis, that was once a business district like you are, and it decided to become a CID, which makes it a separate entity with more freedom in partnership with the city about how do we do decoration, beautification, things like that. Not saying that, this group is not saying turn Old Orchard into a CID, but it's really looking at, I think there's a couple motivations. One, potentially, how does a business district like yours grab some more revenue possibilities to do some of these bigger things? But number 2, how about those areas that aren't in a business district? How do they get the kind of support that you all get, you know, because they have no revenue streams that are flowing into them of dedicated amounts other than city general fund when certain things happen. So think of Zeta Dell up by Maypop, you think of Yorkshire Plaza, you think of the area on North Kirkham, you know, up by the Golf Dome and that area sort of coming in from town. So they're looking at that. And then also the coffee is not scheduled yet, but it will be in August. We know that they have committed. So the date, I think, will be set this next month, and we'll be sending out save the dates for the August business coffee. Anything I missed, Fran? The new executive director from the chamber is in place, and he's he's at the BDC now from the Chamber of Commerce. Just wanted you all to be aware, he's a very affable and a very outgoing type of person who's probably, if you're not a member of the Chamber of Commerce, probably going to stop by your business and talk to you about the Chamber of Commerce. So just be prepared. They have been great partners with the city. I just want you to know we're very supportive, but that's not a sales pitch. I'm just letting you know that he's very much more go out and talk to the business persons than we've seen before. So I think you'll see a lot more engagement there, possibly in your business.
Awesome, thank you. Moving on to city update.
Councilmember Smith.
All right, good morning, everybody. Just a few things I want to mention to you. At our last meeting of the city council, we did do a general or initial review of a sidewalk policy discussion for safer sidewalks, repairing, replacing sidewalks in areas that need to be done. It's in its infancy stages. So hopefully we'll have something in place as far as a policy for residents to have sidewalks in their areas, and for me, it's more of a safety issue for kids going to school, or actually people walking in the afternoon or the evening, walking their dogs, so they don't have to walk in the streets and things of that nature. So we started that process. If any support you need for me to do or your annual report, just let me know. So I'll jump in whenever I can or whatever I need to do to support any budget requests and things of that nature with the council. Let's see. Also, want to thank you guys for the approval of Prop W. That was a success for the city, the 22.1 million bond issue. Eric is going to be very busy. So they're starting to roll up the sleeves and get that process started. It's going to be a very positive and productive and move for the city. I'm looking forward to it. Also, the administration has started. I'm not going to say reviewing a comprehensive plan. It's really creating a comprehensive plan. Is it 1976, 78?
78.
78 since the city has had one. So we're going that process to update that. And it's probably going to take about a good year, Eric, about a year to get that project completed, but it's something that's needed. Also with the from the election, all the amendments to the charter was approved. So we'll probably start on the next batch for November. Probably going to be just as many, probably about 8 to 10 is going to be on the ballot for residents to vote on. I think that is all I have. Normally, well, and then we had 3 council members that was re-elected, 2 elected, 2 of them was re-elected. Myself and Karen Alexander will be there for another 4 years, and Jamie Hasselmeyer was elected for 4 years, a new council member. It was a very grueling election period. We had a lot of campaigning to do to get votes. So, but I'm kidding. It was 3 spots and it was 3 people. So I voted for myself, and so I was in. So, and one of the things that the council, at the time of reorganization with the new council people, is we rotate liaisons. So I picked up the Old Orchard from Sarah Richardson. Her schedule wouldn't allow her to visit with you guys in the morning any longer, so I picked that up. So I don't know who your new liaison will be. It might be me, who knows? But all of that's just shuffled around, and so we can get a taste of what each commission and board is doing. Other than that, I can't think of anything else. I think that's it, unless you have some questions of me.
Okay.
The only
Just
thing I
briefly-
would say, when we start the process with the items with Prop W, you got to give us your feedback. We can't put approval in, and then all of a sudden you say, well, why didn't you do this? Well, you should have came in and put your comment in. And this sometimes is what we face, so there's going to be a lot of moving parts, and, we just can't say we're going to do this project and ask for community input for the next 3 months, because it's a lot to be done. So just be ready to step up and give your comments and your opinions on what we're going to be doing. That's all I got.
I would just simply add briefly on a comprehensive plan. That's a very important thing. It's about land use and plans for the city, obviously. Most states and cities are required to every 10 to 20 years update them. So we're, I don't want to say behind, but you look at a national trend, usually you're reevaluating that frequently, excuse me. Lakota Group has been contracted to do that, so there'll be an outside consultant. I would expect the kickoff in early May. And they're probably going to be scheduling some community panels. We'll make sure you get all that invitation. It's very important for folks like your group here as well. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, the value in property, while you think of big homes, the real value when it comes to value per acre, use of land is in dense business areas. And so that is not to say that the comprehensive plan is trying to destroy anything in the Old Orchard District or such, but how do we best, if a plot of land comes open, how do you best plan for that, and how do you manage all the different factors you talk about in land use? So I want you to be aware of that and be prepared to see that kind of news and be involved with those things. It's very important for the community, so.
And one more thing, that the selection of our new chief of police is narrowing down. I think we'll have some more community forums later this month. Is it down to 5, Eric?
4 or 5, I believe. So,
4 or 5. So start looking out for those if you want to participate in those. So hopefully we'll have a new chief of police on board within the next 30 to 45 days.
Speak of the devil, Officer Azul is parking good. That's what I want to hear.
I have a whole
Oh,
list. No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Again, if anyone is having any issues though, Officer Azul is available, and
Yes.
you can reach out to me or direct to him, so.
Awesome. Thank you. Our next meeting is set for May 14th. Is there anything else before we ask for an adjournment? All right, who would like to move for adjournment?
I can make a motion.
Thank you. John? John
I'll
second.
Yeah, got that.
Assuming there's no. All right, I guess that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank
have a
you.
good week.